Dr. Ibrahim. This is the Global Digest think tank group. So why don't you let us know what is your background?
My name is Dr. Ibrahim Majidi Muhammad Kamil. I'm currently an assistant professor in University Science of Malaysia in Penang, all right, in Penang, Malaysia. And I'm also in activism. Also, I'm part of the trustees for Yayasan Usuluddin Malaysia, a foundation that focus on Islamic scholarly and also intellectual knowledge. In USM, which I becoming an assistant professor, my expertise are more on philosophical issues, and also taught Malay. Okay, myself is Malay ethnic. All right, in Malaysia we have so many ethnics in Malaysia, but the main ethnic is Malay, around 60% plus. Okay, and then we have Chinese around 20% plus, and also Indian around 15%. And then we also have indigenous people, all right, including in the East Malaysia, which is including Sabah and Sarawak. So when we talk about Malaysia ethnic plurality, okay, it is very interesting. But of course, when we talk about plurality, they always have some ups and downs. All right. And one more interesting about Malaysia, that the people are very, for them, religion is very important. That's why in Malaysian ideologies, they call as Rukun Negara. The first principle they put is trustworthy towards God. Second one is towards the king, and third one is towards the law. Why? Because Malaysian people, they are very religious people. Okay, in Malaysia we have a Muslim majority, and then we have also Buddhists, especially the Chinese, and then we have Hindus, especially the Indian. We have Sikhism, and then also we have Christian, and also we have other indigenous religions. All right, so we can say that in Malaysia, all right, we also have pluralism ethnic, but also pluralism in terms of religion. So that's why in Malaysia they are so emphasized towards religious tolerance.
Right.
Yeah.
So I mean, not just Malaysia. I think all over Southeast Asia has ethnic plurality because
Yeah, plurality.
even in the region itself, no monopoly religion.
Yeah.
I mean, we have Islam, Buddhism, Christian.
Mm.
We can say Buddhist country, maybe
Mm.
Thailand, Laos, Cambodia, or Vietnam. I'm not sure. They may not be.
Similar.
Vietnam may be. I don't
Yeah.
know. It may be more Buddhism. Buddhism. It's a little bit confused.
Yeah.
There are two Christian. We can say Philippines Christian country and East Timor is Christian country.
Yeah, true.
And Muslim countries, Indonesia,
Yeah.
Brunei,
And
and
Malaysia.
Malaysia. I'm not
Yeah.
sure Singapore. Singapore is a Christian country or they are mixed or maybe they
For
don't have
Singapore,
any majority, I
I
guess.
see they do not have any official religions, like Malaysian and Indonesia. Yeah, I see they are more a mix.
Right. So Singapore case is again
Yeah.
exception. They are
Yeah.
mixed and so this is mainly three religion we can say in South Asia, Buddhism, and Muslim and Christian. These are
Yeah.
main religion in South Asia. And I'm I don't know when you say about Malay ethnics and
Mm.
other indigenous in eastern part of Malaysia. I
Mm.
don't know you consider Malay ethnic is itself is indigenous or is not indigenous. I'm not
Mm.
sure. But in case in Burma, in Myanmar, we have
Mm.
a lot of ethnics too, but all of them they consider as indigenous because
Mm.
they are native, they
Mm.
originated in the
Yeah.
country.
Yeah.
Since ancient time, who live in Myanmar, they call ethnic indigenous people, including majority Barmen or other Shan, Chin, all are indigenous because they are original and ancient time they've been there. But those Chinese or Indian immigrants, they did not consider them as indigenous. They are so that's the thing. But I don't know in Malaysia, how did you categorize in terms of indigenous and ethnicity?
All right. For Malaysia, the indigenous consider the Malay ethnics and also the indigenous people of they call as the orang asli and also the Sabah and Sarawak people. So that's why they have the term Bumi Putra. Okay, but for Chinese and Indian, they are not considered as indigenous, and that thing, yeah, that thing has been in the Malaysian constitution that Malay and Bumiputra is the indigenous. For the Chinese and Indian, considered not as indigenous. So that is how Malaysia polarization of ethnics.
Right, it makes sense because Malay ethnics been there since ancient time, right?
Yeah, true. Yeah.
Original ethnic group in that island peninsula. So that is in South Asia. How did you consider who are original indigenous group in the South Asian and who are immigrant? Singapore case probably they don't have indigenous, right?
Yeah.
That is just
Yeah.
portion of Malaysia territory. They just cut it a little bit portion that made a country. So have you ever studied South Asia, those ethnicity and indigenous and original of South Asian native people?
Right. Okay. In my research, what I have studied that when they want to define whether this person indigenous or not indigenous people is which migrant coming during the colonial era, they did not consider as indigenous people. Right. So the indigenous is the people that stay in the Southeast Asia before the colonial era. So that is what I found in my study, especially in Malaysia. But maybe like Malaysia is quite different with Indonesia or Thailand, because if you see like Indonesia and Thailand, they have a very good nationalism. So they all people considers as Indonesian or Thai people. But in Malaysia, we still identify ourselves as Malay, Chinese, Indian. Yeah, we do not identify most majority of the people do not I identify them as a Malaysian, but more by their ethnic groups, and that is still happening currently.
Right. I mean,
Yeah.
it can be, as you said, in case Malaysia it's make more confusions and
Yeah.
other South Asian much
Yeah.
clear definition of who is
Yeah.
indigenous and who is
Indigenous and
not.
not Indigenous.
But when you said about before colonization and after colonization, who migrant as not indigenous, that's true. But I don't know in Malaysia, but in case of Burma, there was probably Chinese or Indian or some also immigrated before colonization.
Yeah.
So I mean that's also still immigrant that is not easily you can consider as indigenous. But I
Yeah.
don't know in Malaysia most Chinese or Indian they never immigrant before colonization. Only they are immigrated after colonization, something like that. You want to say?
Yeah. Okay, like in Malaysia, like the Chinese and Indian also, we have some groups of Chinese and Indian coming, especially during the Portuguese era, the Portuguese colonial era. And during this time, most of them have kind of like mixed marriage, and they are like following the Malay culture. So even though they are not recognized by as indigenous, but the indigenous people consider they as part of the society because they following the majority culture. Okay, but especially the group coming during the British era, this group usually did not people did not recognize as indigenous people because for them they believe that the group coming during the British colonial era, okay, they coming to work here and not to become part of the society. So that's why if we see some conflict, ethnic conflict happen, usually between the Malay people with the group of people, the Chinese and the Indian coming during the British era, not before that, because like in some state we have Chinese and Indian coming earlier, especially during the Portuguese era. Their relationship are very good. They are so okay. They considered as part of society, but they have problem with this a group that have a different culture with them. They have different language, different culture practices, and different religions. That is because when they have so many differences, this is which
Right,
it may lead to crisis and conflict between them.
right. I agree that, I mean, it is most significant, we can say,
Yeah.
like after colonization, a lot of
Mm,
immigrants came to South Asia from China, from India. I mean,
mm,
that is significant. We can
yeah.
consider them as immigrant. But
Mm,
you also said before colonization, immigrants are not that significant and very
yeah.
little immigration, and people even don't know whether they are immigrant or not. And
Yeah.
those immigrants before colonization
Mm,
they are much mingle, and they are living together with society. So it's not significant.
yeah.
That is not the problem, as you said. There is no ethnic conflicts or those things
Yeah.
mostly at the time. And example in Burma, like China-Burma border, many Chinese, maybe ancient time, they immigrant there,
Mm,
but not much significant, you know.
yeah.
They also probably they run away for Chinese emperor or king. So at the time they hate their emperor or their ruler. That's why they came there, and
Yeah.
and they want to live with the Burmese local people. But nowadays is geopolitics is changed. You know,
Yeah.
some of
Yeah.
they want to claim they want to claim back to China and their Chinese uh, influence or something. They still speaking a lot of Chinese. That
Mm,
is more easy to claim they are Chinese origin or something like that. So now the geopolitics make more. It can be ethnic
yeah.
conflicts, and also I guess many Chinese in Malay and other South Asian, Thailand,
Mm,
like Singapore, definitely they. I'm not sure in case of Singapore, they have no feeling about ASEAN. I mean, family or South Asian member of
yeah.
family. In
Yeah.
other case in Burma, that historically, I mean, it's slightly they have no separate
Mm,
territory, you know. So
yeah.
each mean they have not much able to claim,
Mm,
or they can say a lot for themselves. But in case of Singapore, Malaysia, let
mm,
them Chinese have separate country. That
mm,
is very different issue. It,
yeah.
it can be they totally claim their sentiment is like Chinese sentiment. If somebody are living with you and they are not like your sentiment, ASEAN sentiment.
When we go back to the history, okay, I like to go back to the history. Yeah, when we go to the before the colonial era, we have a very big territory called as Nusantara. Okay, Nusantara previously is considered is part of Southeast Asia. Okay, including Malaysia, Indonesia, all right, Thailand, Brunei, also part of Burma. That's why even in Burma also we have Malay society, right? All right, I think currently you still have Malay society in Burma.
I'm not sure because
Yeah.
I never know any Malaysian speak, but
Oh.
yeah, some at the bottom of Burma, mostly at the Venezuela, close to
Hmm.
Malaysia, Thailand. Those ethnic, many same with ethnic from Malaysia, but they
Yeah.
speak Burmese, I guess.
They stay Burmese. Okay.
I
So
guess.
yeah, maybe they have changed the identity because from my study, okay, when I study about the Nusantara is previous before the colonial era. Okay, like the Malacca Sultanate is not only Malaysia but almost the whole part of Southeast Asia. Okay, but when colonial power coming, okay, they like having divide and rule. And when this happened, all Southeast Asia countries becoming like they have need to create their own identity. That is where we can see that when Southeast Asia are started to divided and they have their own identity. So I think, and that's also why the purpose they have the ASEAN, okay, because they know that we cannot be together like the the ancient times. So that's why they make the new type of relationship called as Asian. Even if you see like people always say that Malaysia and Indonesia are similar, right? Especially when you ask the westernized, okay, sometimes they are very confused between Malaysia and Indonesia. But even if you see, like Malaysia and Indonesia also always competing with each other because both of them claiming about their originality of culture. I give a very simple example. The nasi lemak, very popular food for the Malay society. All right. In Malaysia we have nasi lemak, and Indonesia they have nasi lemak, but they have different names, and also in Brunei. But suddenly, the UNESCO claimed that nasi lemak is coming from Singapore. All right. So that is a very for me it's very yeah, it's a very funny story because we are from the same origin. But today, in the today world, all of these people claiming their origin of the culture. So I see that, yeah, even though we are in the same geographical area, okay, we have similar society. Sorry, we have similar culture. But why do people still have conflict? Okay, why we cannot share and proud of this thing? All right. So that is a for me it's a very yeah, even it's a very simple thing, but it can may becoming a conflict between the society, especially in Malaysia and Indonesia, and also in Singapore.
I mean that is true. I mean that's the conflict can be. I mean that's common every not just South Asia, any
Yeah.
other region in the world. It's
Mm.
ethnic conflict or
Mm.
yeah in the I mean differences are there and
Mm.
different opinion even within family brother sister still conflict.
Yeah.
So that can be uh, uh, it's common, we can say. But I mean, in terms of security, we don't know if they are betraying the one
Mm.
who's sitting next to you or sleeping next to you. That
Yeah, true.
security can be very dangerous. That is
Mm.
my point.
As we know, in the history, Singapore is part of Malaysia. Okay, and we know that Singapore have separated when during that time the Chinese community, especially the PAP, starting to have influenced the Chinese society. And when we study about the story between the separation of Malaysian and Singapore, it's not only about between Malay ethnic and Chinese ethnic, but also between uh, political party between both Chinese ethnic groups. One is MCA, Malaysian Chinese Association, and also one more is the PAP, the current government politics of Singapore. Okay, because both of these party is like, yeah, the MCA is starting to feel like the security, because most of the Chinese community during that time supporting the PAP. All right, and if you ever read the story that when the MCA leaders started us to Tunku Abdul Rahman, the Prime Minister of Malaysia during that time, to separate Malaysia and Singapore, so the PAP cannot influence other Malaysian society in other parts of Peninsular Malaysia, and that is one of the reason why Singapore and Malaysia are separated. Even though if we see during that time, Lee Kuan Yew, yeah, they really love Singapore in Malaysia, and but of course, he believed that like when Singapore in Malaysia, Malaysia can be excel in the economy area. All right, that's one thing. And number two things, current sentiment between Malaysia and Singapore is for the Malay ethnics. They have a sentiment that Singapore is previously a Malaysian, a Malay territories, but taken by
Right.
the Chinese group. That is the sentiment. And even today, some of the political party in Malaysia still use that sentiment. They said that if you vote the Chinese, it's like you want Malaysian to be like Singapore. All right. So even though that thing happened already more than 50 years, okay, but that sentiment is always used by a Malay party group, okay, to make sure that the Malaysian always thinking traditionally conservative. That's why in Malaysia, the Malay people, majority of them are still thinking conservative. They have a conservative style of thinking, even though Malaysian are currently more developing and towards to the developed country. But if you go to the society, the Malay society, the majority of the Malay society, if you try to study, most of them still in the conservative, like the in the 15 and 16 or 70s era. All right, so that is how you see, especially for the Chinese society compared to the Indian society. So that's why you see that the the conflict happen is not because of the society itself, but because of the political party who always try to make this sentiment, especially during the election.
I see. So, the as you point out, the originally separation of
Mm,
Singapore is not because of Chinese
yeah.
Singapore, but because of
Mm,
political party, right? So
yeah.
political party, PAP. Now also Singapore has ruling by PAP, right?
Yeah. True.
At that division by political party in Malaysia.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the PAP control Singapore, let
Mm,
them separated. So
mm,
the Malaysian did not aware at the time that sentiment, Chinese sentiment will be there or a kind of regional security will be threatened. Malaysian did not aware at the time. Just because of political reason, they
mm,
just PAP to let them go separate.
yeah.
But now there are many other issues happening. So I think Malaysian people realize nowadays it's not just a political party issue. You know,
Yeah.
it is become a regional issue as well because
Yeah.
if Singaporean South Asian indigenous security issue maybe not that problem.
Yeah.
Because they are South Asian indigenous, they have a feeling South Asian. So
Yeah.
all the region country will be considered that is not a threat and they will be
Mm.
continuously part of our South Asian society. Like compared to Brunei, Brunei
Yeah.
is nobody consider security threat because
Yeah.
Brunei, even though they are separate from Malaysia, but they are still ASEAN regional South Asian indigenous, right? They are still indigenous, so they have a feeling of regional indigenous uh, people. So they are no reason to be. We can compare Brunei and Singapore, right? So it isn't Brunei also same Malay group, or they have. I mean, in terms of ethnicity, they are different from your Malaysia. I mean, your Malay group since ancient time. Well, how about Brunei case?
All right. Like Brunei, okay. I want to sorry to say, but Brunei's never been part of Malaysia. All
I
right.
see. I see.
Okay. Because if you see in the Malay Kingdom, in the history of Malay Kingdom, every part of territories have been controlled by the king, the Malay king or Malay Sultanate. All right. But Brunei previously they control the East Malaysia, which is Sabah and Sarawak. Okay, and when the British want to form the Malaysia, is part of the plan, but they have rejecting to join Malaysia at the very last moment. Okay, because some group in the political party in Brunei have rejected to join Malaysia because he claimed that if Brunei join Malaysia, the British will control all the Brunei economy, especially the oil. Okay, and yeah, and even the Malaysia itself, if you read the history of the Malaysian Reformation, okay, because in Malaysia we have two. One is the independence, which is on 1957, and then second is the formation of Malaysia, which the Peninsular Malaysia combined with Sabah and Sarawak. Okay, so we have two big things. Okay, even the Indonesia are very rejecting until they make some they have attacked Malaysia because they claim that Malaysia is like a new style of colonization by the British. Okay, because they claim that the formation of Malaysia is easier for the British to control all this territory. So that's why, because Indonesia has a dream to combine Malaysia, Brunei with them, called as Melayu Raya, a very big territory of Malay society. All right, if you still remember during the Sukarno time, okay, that is his dream, and even a part of a Malaysian society also agreed that Malaysia should be with Indonesia. All right. So, but this group considered as the left group. All right. So the right group is more to the British. For the left group, is more with the Indonesia to create Melayu Raya. Okay. Yeah, if you see that during they want to form the Malaysia, all right. The biggest objection is from the Indonesia, all right, because the Sukarno believed that the Malay is the biggest indigenous people in Southeast Asia, so they can combine to become the biggest powers in Southeast Asia. Okay, that's and one thing also, I think why Malaysian and Indonesian Malay people are quite different because how they gain the independence. Okay, for example, like in Indonesia, we know that they have a very so much war with the colonized power, but in Malaysia, Malaysian gain independence through diplomacy. So that's why if you see in the Malaysia, we always have diplomacy. Even when we want
Right.
to construct our constitution, the Malay, Chinese, and Indian also, we do not have any war, but through diplomacy. So that's why maybe you see, even though like Malaysian, Brunei, and Indonesia are majority of Malay people, but they have different kind of thinking because of the history. Right. So in Malay, the Malay people in Malaysia, if we can diplomacy, we will use that method first. Compared to maybe other society, other Malay society, they want to fought first. Uh, we do not know, all right. But that is Malaysian style. The Malay in Malaysian, everything is about diplomacy. Even until nowadays, when anything happen, all through diplomacy.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean,
Mm.
it's as you said, Malaysia is pretty good in diplomacy, uh,
Yeah.
like similar to Thailand,
Yeah.
because they were never colonized because
Yeah.
uh,
True.
good in diplomacy.
Mm.
What they say, diplomacy, it means it is virtually colonized because
Yeah.
colonized can do whatever they want in Thailand and
Yeah.
wherever they want to go, whatever they want, they can access in Thailand. So it is virtually colonized, not
Mm.
just announcing as
Mm.
colonization. So
Yeah.
that's I mean, that's we can consider as a good diplomacy as
Yeah. True.
well as you can still claim at least the name. And it was not
Mm.
colonized, at
Yeah.
least can say like that. So and I mean uh, the Indonesia in case of East Timor, East Timor, I mean part of Indonesia, but East Timor was independent. It's still, I mean, we have no security problem, East Timor,
Yeah.
because East Timor, they are indigenous of East Timor country. They are not Chinese or they are not Indian or uh, European or anything.
Mm.
So in terms of regional security, East Timor
Mm.
has no problem, even though
Yeah.
they're independent for Indonesia. So that is the case.
Mm.
But Singapore
Mm.
is the sentiment is totally different with other South Asian countries.
Yeah.
That's the issue we are talking about. They willing to send
Mm.
any military weapon or any uh, yeah, economically favorism, anything to the whoever you know dictator or whoever authoritarian, because they have no feeling,
Yeah.
indigenous, because the Burmese indigenous, those ethnic indigenous, they feel we don't know, they are not Chinese.
Mm.
We are
Yeah.
not feeling for them. So whoever dictator or whoever authoritarian, as long as uh, they can do business with those Singaporean. Now let's go back to ASEAN. As Malaysia is ASEAN chairman, you know that.
Mm.
And last time I talked with one of the professor, uh, a woman professor, we already talked about Malaysia role about ASEAN chairmanship.
Okay.
And I don't know your Prime Minister Anwar, his role and his motive in
Mm.
case of especially in the crisis in Burma, and
Mm.
how he seemed he he is not that as expected, not closely to promote democratization in Burma. It seemed I don't know, he also falling into the military regime
Mm.
interest, or where is his role and where is his direction is unclear. Recently, he willing to talk with the military head coup leaders and all engagement with military government.
Mm.
So it is a little bit confusing your prime minister motive and the Malaysia role in peace building, or the end of military coup in Burma, or military role in military control in Burma. And as we talk, Malaysia is one of, in spite, the strongest democracy country in ASEAN, compared to other countries in ASEAN. So Malaysia has a very a good example to.
Yeah, our Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim is a Malay ethnic.
Really?
In our history, all our Prime Minister are Malay ethnic, because in our country they have sentiment that the Malay should govern. Malay should be the Prime Minister. The Malay should be the leader. That's number one. All right. They still have that kind of sentiment. If you
But he always talk about Middle East or Lebanon or those Palestine. So people thought he's from that Middle East background or something like that.
Okay, it is because he's coming from NGOs, from activism. Okay, during his young age, he is so active with Islamic movement called as youth Islamic movement in Malaysia, and he is the leader. He is the president during that time, and so during that time, he has so many networking with all the Islamic scholars from Indonesia and also the Middle East. So that's why if you see, for example, he has a very good relationship with the president of the Turkey, for example, Erdogan, and then like the Indonesia scholars. And if you see when he go somewhere, he always see Islamic scholars, all right, because of his networking. And if you ask me about his direction, okay, one thing that is, I think you know that Anwar is a senior, yeah, a senior leader. All right.
Right.
Yeah. And also he has so many stories in his political career, and he has been in prison for certain years because so they claim that injustice happened to him. That's why even some people compare him with Suki, if you yeah, because of the injustice towards him. And during his early career, during his becoming the deputy prime minister, he has a philosophy called as civil society. All right. Or he always said masyarakat madani. Masyarakat madani is civil society. Okay, but following the Islamic philosophy and Islamic ethical values. All right. And after he imprisonment, and currently during 2022, he becoming the prime minister. When he becoming prime minister, he have introduced a policy. It's not only a policy, but also a philosophy called as Malaysia Madani. Okay, what is Malaysia Madani is he claimed that he has been used a philosophy or theory by Ziauddin Sardar, American philosopher, about post-normal times. Okay, in my opinion, I saw that post-normal times have something related with postmodernism. Okay, what is postmodernism? Postmodernism is a reaction towards modernism. Okay, if we study about philosophy during the mid 20th century, philosophers such as Lyotard, Foucault, and Derrida have made a movement called as postmodernism movement as a reaction, because they claim that modernism is something that is a very failure thing. So postmodernism is not continuous from modernism. It's a new movement, a reaction, because they believe that modernism are failure. Okay, so I think from here, that's why, because if you see in the Malaysia Madani policy, okay, they talk so many about uncertainty.
I see.
And they claim, yeah, that is a very, for me, that is a very interesting point. We cannot compare 10 years past with current years, because during the 10 years past, maybe we still in the modernism style of thinking, modernism style of thought. But currently, when we talk about postmodernism or post-normal, we cannot predict. All things are unpredictable. I give you an example, Mr. John. For example, if you see the global crisis nowadays, okay, suddenly the Arabs have a good relationship with the Trump Trump era with the US. Currently, China becoming so many have a good relationship with so many countries. So for me, that is an example of uncertainty. Okay. Number two, also, the global crisis today, not only about the current global crisis such as climate changes, war, and etc., but also global crisis in terms of epistemology. When nowadays, when something happens, there are so many fake news or disinformation. Previously, we only believe with news from CNN, Reuters, all right, a very
Right.
popular news sources. But today's when we have social media, from one story we will hear so many version of story.
Right.
Okay, so in terms of like you said, Anwar Ibrahim approach toward the Palestine. Okay, for me, he consistent with his views because during his youth movement, becoming the leader of the youth movement, he already, because we know that the Palestine issue is not a recent issue. It happens since the 1960s. Okay,
Long
so
time
for
ago.
me, yeah, and for me, he consistent with his views. And one more thing, when we talk about Palestine, for the Malaysian people, they have kind of like um, religion sentiment. All right. So for the Malay, especially for the Malay people, they do not only look at the issues in terms of war and humanitarian, but also the Muslim issues. Because in Muslim, they have the teaching about brotherhood. Okay, even though this happened in other country or other geographical areas, but when something happened to the Muslim, we should help them. That's why if you see in Malaysia, we have some history that Malaysian are helping the Muslim society. For example, the issues of happened in the Serbia. If you still remember the Serb during the early 20s, during the Tun Dr. Mahathir, even they are welcoming the Muslim Serbian people to come to Malaysia to get the shelter. Same goes also for the Rohingya. All right, the Rohingya, the Malaysian give permission for the Rohingya who have the UNICEF card, UNICEF ID, to have a shelter for a while before they go somewhere else. So yeah, for me, when he talk about the Gaza issues, it's not only about political, but also because of the religion sentiment. So for me, he quite consistent in that issues. All right, but in terms of the Asian leadership, for me nowadays, I saw that he tried to make ASEAN is a big group as a big group. All right, he want to kind of like make an Asian a group of economy power, because previously maybe the big power did not look to the Southeast Asian country. For example, if Malaysian only want to have relationship with big countries such as United States, China, or Russia, maybe they saw that Malaysia is a very small economic potential. But if Malaysian with Asia ASEAN, it will give a very big potential. And furthermore, nowadays we can see that Southeast Asia do very well in terms of economy compared to the we know that currently like the European and the middle some of the countries are falling in terms of economy. So the big power also saw that ASEAN is a very potential group of country, okay, for them to trade and to have a good economy transaction.
I mean, that is good. I mean, Anwar vision of the big economy, regional-wise big economy, ASEAN, based on ASEAN big economy, not just a single Malaysia uh, uh, way of economy, but ASEAN with ASEAN to grow bigger economy. That is good. But my point is the ASEAN to to grow and to have big economy based on ASEAN, I mean, you need to check all these ASEAN members, all these ASEAN, whether they are fit or not, or who can be well partnership or who can be follow along the way. Let's see, since 1990, mostly economic development. If there was a civilian government in Burma, if Myanmar was never military coup since 1990, I can say ASEAN economy was much better than now.
Yeah.
Because just because of Myanmar case military coup for since 1990, ASEAN have a lot of setback in terms of economic growth and many diplomacy also setback and many other things. If Myanmar was civilian government and democracy and very free and I mean stable country, it will be much better ASEAN economy, ASEAN's community, ASEAN diplomacy. Because of coup, there was a setback. Then I guess even a lot of ASEAN leaders, they still have not good enough on Myanmar case, Myanmar crisis. They repeatedly they do repeatedly fall in the military regime, military dictatorship bad way. You know, in 1990, many people they collaborate with military regime. We can say because that is the beginning of military regime. But after 10 years, 20 years, it is time they should understand something.
Yeah.
How the military regime was there and what was wrong. They should change different direction or different approach or different support. But if the leadership, any Malaysia or any ASEAN country, repeatedly doing as 1990, and the Malaysian, not just Malaysian, all ASEAN leader has something wrong. They are also they have virus or they have something wrong. Why they have to repeat again and again that kind of schedule, you know? So that is the thing, my point. The vision is good, bigger economy, but we have to settle down. We have to deal those problematic things first. After that, ASEAN vision can also you can get whatever you want.
Yeah.
You can also develop much better. People did not see many, even Thailand also. How we can say they are misunderstanding or they are lack of knowledge or they are knowingly repeatedly doing those ugly thing or those very unpopular thing. That it means making our ASEAN itself in, bad position. Isn't that your Anwar should realize now this time?
Yeah. In my opinion, as you said that, yeah, during the 1990s, and Anwar is one of the leaders during the 1990s. During that time, he's the deputy prime minister and also the finance minister. Okay, so I think he like want to continue what he has done during that time. But currently, what I can say that he used his charismatic values because for me, he is quite a popular leader to Malaysia and also all the Asian leaders know him because he is a very senior leader, all right, during the 1990s. So what can I tell you that currently I saw that Anwar have made so many meets up with the Asian leaders. I think he have meet the Philippines president 2-3 times, the Singapore, the Indonesia, and sometimes he had a phone call with them, with the Asian leaders. And I saw that if you see even currently, Anwar started to go to so many countries to gain networking. All right. And I believe that when he want to do a networking, it's not only about Malaysia, but also he want to include Asian. For example, you see that yeah, some very big thing happen. For example, when the China president coming to the ASEAN, okay, one of them are Malaysia, and then when Anwar go to Russia meeting Putin, and even also Anwar have invited Putin to come to Malaysia uh, during the ASEAN. All right. So if you see that, I think that is the factor why all those big economy country meet Anwar. It's not only about Malaysia, but they want to meet when Anwar want to bring ASEAN together. So yeah, because for me is when they saw one Southeast Asia country except for Singapore, all right? Because Singapore, we know that they have a big economy power compared to other Southeast Asian country. But I think when because I think Anwar have a very good relationship with the Asian leaders. So that's why I think that is a very good thing for him when he can claim that he as a part of the Asian leader, okay, want to make networking or relationship with this big country. So I think I am excited with the Asian Summit which coming this year because from there we will know where is the direction of ASEAN. All right, because currently, yeah, ASEAN started to like active back because we know that ASEAN is like up and down. Suddenly, ASEAN is active. Suddenly, ASEAN is very slow. Okay, but currently, we can see that Anwar have started the momentum for ASEAN. All right, so ASEAN currently look like a very good coalition now currently in terms of economy. But I think for Anwar focus on ASEAN currently is more on economy, yeah, compared to the other things because he saw that this is the opportunity for the ASEAN to to take the opportunity for economy because we know that currently some big country economy also are not so good. So Anwar tried to seek for opportunities not only for Malaysia but also for the ASEAN countries. So that's why I think maybe most of the Asian ASEAN leaders agree because of course they want to have a good economy, right?
Right. I mean, it's okay. I mean, uh, it's very good if he had
Mm.
engaged with other big country and other regions and
Yeah.
networking with them along with ASEAN. I mean, it is good. It's nothing wrong. Uh, the point is, we, as we already discussed, in with the one member of ASEAN of
Mm.
the problem of Myanmar, the crisis of Myanmar
Yeah.
is setback. That's
Mm.
everybody know.
Yeah.
Economists know, diplomats know, politicians know. The
Mm.
military rule since 1990s and
Mm.
till today. ASEAN has setback.
Yeah.
That is a undeniable fact in
Mm.
ASEAN. So if they know, any ASEAN leaders know, why they have to repeat the same scheme, you know,
Yeah.
they should update, they should change strategy, and
Mm.
they should make a better one for
Mm.
ASEAN, uh, even economy,
Yeah.
as we discussed, why ASEAN economies was set back because of the military rule in Myanmar has a lot of setback for
Yeah.
ASEAN because a lot of sanctions and many other things. Uh, Western country that did not interest the
Mm.
military dictator, authoritarians, and many other, negative things impact
Yeah.
under military regime. That's directly affecting ASEAN community. So why the question is the regional leader want to go the same the same, bad route, the same bad and the same, way of doing, engaging with military regime. I mean, it's normal. It's not interesting. The
Mm.
regional leader or those regional uh, uh, policy maker or any politician,
Mm.
ASEAN leaders, we should stop such a dirty politics or
Yeah.
dirty games with the military regime. Let's
Mm.
do better for the region itself, ASEAN uh, itself, for economic growth and economic develop, eventually regional development and regional security and better ASEAN community.
Yeah.
That should be, update. That
Mm.
is the point. I mean, I guess even in ASEAN, even Secretary General Office
Mm.
or ASEAN leader, ASEAN chairman office or any related policy maker, I think ASEAN is still lack of policy maker.
Yeah.
I think nobody will talk what we are discussing.
Mm. Yeah.
Nobody will still uh, uh, don't know how ASEAN was set back because
Mm.
of military regime in Burma.
Mm.
Even nobody made a research on that, probably. That's why I have to say repeatedly. Last
Yeah.
time I talked with a professor too,
Mm.
a woman professor from Malaysia, and
Yeah.
we thought we need a better policy
Mm.
maker. Anwar doesn't have, surrounding him doesn't have a good policy maker and a good policy, especially in case of Myanmar case.
Yeah.
So Anwar is doing so far not as much as people expected.
Yeah. So yeah, for me, about policy, in terms of his policy, I think during meantime, he is still like play safe for me. All right. Yeah, not so, you can say, not so aggressive. Okay. Even like for example, like currently, even we know that in Malaysia, it's not about um only one party who become the government, but currently we have the coalition between um the UMNO, okay, and also we have the Chinese group of parties. So I think in terms of doing a policy, for me, Anwar like need to play safe because he becoming a prime minister because of coalition not only from his party but other parties. Okay, and in terms of I even I am aware that in terms of Burma issues, I saw that Anwar still plays safe. They did not have kind of like a very big action, and currently I just saw he just make some action towards the conflict of in Thailand, in the Patani, the Malaysian society with the military. All right, very long issues, but still in still in discussion and not yet settled down about this issue. But currently, I saw that Anwar were more on the Thailand conflict or issues compared to the Myanmar issues. What can I say now? All right, because for me, maybe he saw that that issue of Thailand are more solvable compared to the Myanmar because I think he saw that Myanmar is a very big issue, and for me he still need to place it between the military group and also the other group. So that's why I think he did not get a very aggressive action towards Myanmar issues. Do you agree with me?
I don't know the reason Anwar accepted Thaksin for his special advisor.
Yeah.
Well, Thaksin can able to solve Malaysia-Thai border conflicts, or why Thaksin he accepted Thaksin.
Okay, what I'm aware about he elected Thaksin is to become, it's not for to give advice for Malaysia but for ASEAN. Because yeah, what I understand what the government claim why he take Thaksin, because they claim that during Thaksin time, Thailand has a very good economy, and also during that time he claimed that yeah, ASEAN is in a good shape. That is why I read and study why they. But even that thing also has been criticized for the Malaysia society. I think not only I think not only in Malaysia society, but I think also some Asian society also criticize the action. Even myself also, I'm quite disagree with that action because we know that yeah, they have some issues and conflicts towards the regime of Thaksin. Okay, so even the action also have yeah setback for Anwar, especially for the Malaysian people. They question why Thaksin. All right, because we have so many other leaders. Okay, but why Thaksin? All right, I think that's also is a very questionable action, not only for Malaysian people, but for all Southeast Asian region.
Right. I mean, that's the thing, and he is important advisor for ASEAN chairman to have
Yeah.
a good advisor
Mm.
and not politicizing or not.
Yeah.
I mean, ASEAN should stop any dirty politic or
Yeah.
very outdated politics or politics
Yeah.
advisor in the region. So we should do some transparency
Mm.
policy and more more open policy.
Yeah.
Not just advisor, also the problem in Secretary General Office, ASEAN Secretary General Office. Most those ASEAN Secretary General, Assistant Secretary General, or Director or Deputy, most bureaucrats are also lack of making policy, I think, to make a good policy. So,
Yeah.
do you see any way ASEAN can make any changes or improve even within a Secretary General office and all this office staff to make better ASEAN and better policy?
Okay. Yeah. For me, yeah. Number one, of course, you need to have a good ASEAN leaders. All right. A very
Right.
charismatic leaders. Okay. But yeah, the question is who currently. Okay, when we talk about charismatic, it is not only about someone who you love, but someone is recognized by other people, recognized by almost all groups. That's number one. Okay, and number two, when we talk about ASEAN, also there are so many. for me, there are so many bad sentiment toward ASEAN, even for the ASEAN society themselves. For example, if you try to ask the public, what do you think about ASEAN? What are you hope about ASEAN? Most of the people they even didn't care about ASEAN. All right. So if the people did not support ASEAN, so I think it's very hard even for the policymaker to make a good policy for ASEAN. Even currently, I do not know, but for me, in Malaysia, people do not so excited about ASEAN nowadays. I think compared to, like you said before, compared to the 90s, people are more excited about what ASEAN want to do, what ASEAN want to do. But currently, I think not only Malaysia, but also other countries, most of the people, the public people, did not so excited about ASEAN. So number two, all right? And to make a good policy for me is that, yeah, the most important thing is stability. First thing is all ASEAN countries need to be stable. But maybe until today, it's very hard to achieve. Because without stability, of course, it is hard for the ASEAN leaders to make a good policy. All right. So I think the ASEAN countries need to focus on the stability before thinking about a good policy. Because even though we have a very great A policy, but yeah, these policies are not supported because of the security issues, stability issues, or conflict issues between countries in Southeast Asia. It is very hard to make ASEAN, but I believe that ASEAN have a good potential to be a big power, especially when we saw that, for example, the most of the, like we say, the coalition in the European, okay, some of the Middle East started to although ASEAN is potential to take the opportunities, but of course, it is how we need to think, all right, or maybe we should combine our expertise, all right. Even ASEAN has so many kind of institution that include the expertise from ASEAN countries, but somewhere we do not see what the product, what the outcome from all these institutions of the under the ASEAN.
Yes, probably ASEAN, a lot of ASEAN leadership and ASEAN countries, the illusion or, as you said, uncertainty are a lot, and
Yeah,
it is repeating again like old habit, a kind of illusion, uncertainty, especially in case of Burma. I mean, if uh, I mean, why they made ASEAN and why they created ASEAN Association and ASEAN Secretary General Office, they already set up and they made already organization, regional grouping. I mean, if they have uh, not much interest or not really interest,
yeah,
regional, why doesn't expel or totally, you know, uh, cancel membership of Myanmar in ASEAN? Isn't
yeah,
better because we can easy to deal with the military regime
mm,
within Burma without ASEAN member and
yeah,
international superpower and other country can also easy to deal because ASEAN, UN is referring ASEAN. The ASEAN need to do some initiative things because of regional grouping already
yeah,
set up. So my point is, why not expel it? It's better to solve the problem, the crisis in
yeah,
Burma, and that is one option. Otherwise, they have to solve it. ASEAN has responsible to solve it. The chairman has
yeah,
responsible to solve it to make it better the region. and to engage Burmese issue very much. And the chairman also responsible to bring a good policy maker to make more for better ASEAN policy, and as well as other countries in the region. And of course, policymaker, including those bureaucrats, it should be, changed. As you said, all group acceptable is maybe that can be political appointment, right? Political appointment is one thing. I think the ASEAN is composes political appointment and non-political appointment, right? Which means academician, NGO, and expertise. Those are not political appointment, not from government appointment. Track 1 is government, track 2 is non-government. So I think ASEAN should play more and open more for track 2, non-political, non-government side. Then a lot of expertise should bring in to ASEAN to improve. Because if you focus too much in track 1, government, it is, as you has experience, we have a very hard to develop.
Different government, different policy.
Right. So the ASEAN leader should open